Welcome back to the vlog, and today we are going to sand the floors. So I am on my way to Home Depot, hopefully to rent the floor sander. I don't know what time the rental place is open, but it's only 3 o'clock, so I would imagine they are. And I am going to pick up a sander, and then we're gonna go back, sand it, hopefully, you know, 2-3 hours, and then we're gonna go have dinner with some friends. I am not seeing the one that I saw online here, and of course there's like no one working today, middle of the day, but there's just these two. They weren't what I was looking for. This one is the drum sander, which I read a lot of people tore up their floors with that one, so I don't know if I want to try that, but hopefully someone shows up here before too long and I can get something done. I think I set off an alarm.
I thought there used to be like a little attachment that went there, but I don't know.
Can you fold them in under this? Maybe not.
They don't Velcro.
Okay, so we are on sanding machine number 2 because they couldn't find the right sandpaper. This was the right size, but it didn't have the right type of bat to fit on that sander. So we're trying a different one, but I can't seem to get this stuff to stick to it either. It's got a sticky back and then this square mesh stuff. So another adventure. We figured out what we need, got it all rented, except one of the parts of the thing was not returned the last time someone rented it. So that guy is on his way here now with the part that I need, and said about 20 minutes to wait, but they went ahead and extended my rental until 9 a.m. It's only 4 p.m. and they're only charging me for 4 hours because that's what I would have rented anyways. So yeah, pretty good deal. Also talked to a lady in paint at the Pittsburgh Home Depot, and she was freaking awesome. She told me exactly what I needed to finish the floor, so thumbs up. I just got back from Home Depot with the sander and a bunch of sanding paper. So we are going to give this a shot, and I have to leave in about 30 minutes, so I don't know how much of this I'll get done. But again, they did extend my rental till 9 a.m. for free, so I'll have plenty of time to get this whole room done before I go to work tomorrow. So I've never done this before, little nervous, but I think it'll go okay. So we're gonna get right after it. Well, it is time to go have dinner with some friends, and I got a little bit done here and back into the closet. It's not taking it down as far as my hand belt sander did, and so I don't know why, but I'm using the same grit paper as I did over here, and it's actually, it didn't smooth out the floor. It's still kind of wavy, whereas over here is perfectly smooth. So I'll end up giving you guys a review probably tomorrow or the next day of what I think of this thing, but initial thoughts is probably not saving me all that much time to just do it with a belt sander, and this would have been cheaper and overall probably just better. So it's super flat over here and it's not over here. So we'll see when I'm done. Again, I'm gonna do a few passes with this thing and then we will see how it turns out. But we're going to go have dinner with some friends and then we'll come back and do some more sanding after we get done. So see you guys later. We just got back from dinner and I started sanding with the grain this way, It's an orbital sander, so it doesn't affect it if you go the other way, but it sands way faster this way, I've found out. Still not quite sure why the color difference between when I sanded with this one and with this one. So we'll figure that out, but Katie is gonna use this one and go along the edges because I can't get super close. And then I'm gonna finish doing the rest of the room over here. We're still at 36 grit right now, so just stripping everything off. And then we'll go back with, I believe 50 I have next, and then 80 after that. And I think we're gonna finish it at 150. So 150 grit, and then we'll go back up to Home Depot. Probably not tonight because it's getting pretty late. It's what, 8 o'clock? And so we'll go up there at some point, get some stain and put the stain down. And then I don't know how many coats you have to do, and I don't know how long it has to dry. So it's hard to get an estimate of how long this is gonna take, but hopefully we get it sanded and totally ready for stain tonight. Well, we just finished the first pass with 36 grit sandpaper all the way around. Katie did all the edging in here and in here. And you can tell it really didn't get all of it down. And I used 2 different sandpapers, whereas over here I got all this down in one. So I don't know if you guys can tell the difference kind of right in here between the big sander and my little bitty sander. So overall, I am not super impressed with that thing. I sanded one pass right up against the edge with 80 grit, and this is supposed to be sticky, and you can tell that there is no stick. I mean, my hand's just rubbing across it. It's supposed to stick to this, and this is supposed to stick to that, which it kind of does, but as you can see, it used to have these knobs everywhere, and they're rubbed off in most of the spots. And down in here, they're there, but they're so short compared to up here that it just isn't gripping. And so every time I moved this anywhere it didn't want to go, because it wants to go up and to the right just on its own, but if I pushed it somewhere else, this pad and the sandpaper would come undone. And so I'm kind of giving up on this machine because that piece of paper was $7 and the pad was $7, and you know, I bought a bunch of them and it adds up. So I think I'm going to clean this up, pack it all up. Home Depot's already closed, as you can see. It's like pretty dark outside. And take it back at 6 a.m. and just tell them it didn't work. So for now, I'm just going to go over it with my palm sander. I've been sanding with this belt sander with 80 grit from about here to the end of the door. Doesn't really take all that long, and it's way smoother than it was with that big sander. The problem that I'm running into, and I know you guys can't see this, but this section was done with the big sander, and if you rub your fingers across here, you can tell it's wavy. The boards have warped slightly. It's not noticeable to the eye, but it's wavy. Over here, it's not. It's perfectly flat, but with this sander, what's happening is I'm having to sand down through the wave so that it's flat. And so essentially, I should have just kept going with this to begin with, because that part over there is all perfectly flat. But all the rest of this is not, because I used the big sander. Anyways, I think I'm gonna put 50 grit on this, do the whole floor again. I don't know if you guys can see, but on all of the floor, I took a construction pencil and marked pencil marks, and that helps you tell where you've been. So over here you can see they're not here anymore because I've already sanded this part. This is a pretty deep scratch, so that's not gonna come out, but you can see the pencil marks aren't here. So it actually worked out really well because you can tell, I mean, right here you see where it is and where I've done. So kind of a neat tip. I did read that online. I don't remember where to give them credit, but I read that online. It seems to work out really well, so I'd recommend that. Obviously, you don't need to do that on your first pass because you're taking stain off and you can tell where you've been, but these passes are a little bit more difficult to tell where you've been if you do it right. So anyways, I'm just gonna keep pressing on with this 50 grit, sand the whole thing, hopefully tonight with 50, and then, you know, we'll be delayed another day. I don't know of a better way. There's a drum sander at Home Depot, which I might try when we do the living room, but I read some bad things, but I also heard some good things from some friends of mine. So we'll give that a shot next time, not this time. I'm already, you know, well on my way to finishing it with this. If you have any tips, by the way, let me know as soon as possible because I may not be done by the time you watch this video. I took a little bit of a break, but I started back about right there and finished all the way up to here with 50 grit in about, I don't know, 10 minutes. And so it really didn't take all that long, and it's so flat. It's not smooth because it's a coarse grit paper, but it's flat all the way across. And even just right here where I did with the Home Depot sander, it's just wavy as all get out. It's smoother because that sander is a little bit easier on the wood, but it's wavy. So I'm gonna go to bed, but tomorrow I'm gonna finish the whole room with 50 grit. And the nice thing is that I already did this whole section, so it's flat. It's just 36 grit. So I'm gonna go over it with 50, but it shouldn't take all that much effort because it's flat. So do this middle section in the closet with 50 grit, and then I will switch to 80, go over the whole thing again. That should be easy. And then as I'm doing that, Katie is going to follow behind me with a 5-inch random orbital with 120 on it. So we should be able to knock out an 80 and a 120 pass very quickly. And then after that, I'll switch to 220 on the random orbital, go over it one more time, and then we'll be able to clean the floor really good, vacuum up all the dust, and then we can finally sand. So overall, I would just, if I was you, I'd just buy you a little belt sander and a little random orbital and go at it. I mean, this is so easy. It literally took me 10 minutes to do that section. So maybe to do the whole rest of the room, another 40 minutes, which I spent 3 hours, literally 3 hours sanding with that big sander. And as you can tell in the middle, it didn't even get all the stain off, and it's not flat, it's still wavy. So, and that doesn't include the 2 hours I stood in Home Depot waiting to get the sander. I mean, so I have about 5 hours invested into that thing, and it did absolutely nothing for me. So this is gonna work out really well. I'd recommend it. It's pretty involved physically, and it does create quite a bit of dust, whereas the nice thing about that Home Depot one is that it collected all the dust. I mean, there was hardly any left over. It had a very powerful vacuum on it that put it in the bag, but also it didn't create all that much dust because it didn't do a whole lot of sanding. So I guess it's got that going for it. So we're gonna end the video right here. If this helped you at all, leave a big thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping in, be sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below if you have any suggestions for us or any way that we could do this faster, because we have a whole rest of the house to do. So if there's a better way, let us know. I mean, we may be done with the bedroom, but we're definitely not done with the rest of the house. So we would love all the advice you can give us.